Hello, everyone. My name is Adlane Fellah. I'm a chief analyst at Business Research. It's my pleasure to welcome today Julianne Goodfellow, head of community and policy at RETTC. Hello, Julianne. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks, Adlane. Thank you so much for inviting me to talk with you today.
My pleasure. So, can you start by telling the audience what is the Real Estate Technology and Transformation Center?
Absolutely. So first of all, because I think people have been trying to figure out how to pronounce it, we say RETTC. That's been
Okay.
people have been trying to figure that out. So the Real Estate Technology and Transformation Center is strategically aligned with NMHC, the National Multifamily Housing Council. It's spun out of the work we did at NMHC. We have had a very robust technology practice there for many years, and it has continued to expand. And as technology has become absolutely integral to everything in housing, our leadership determined that we should spin out a separate organization that can focus on technology full time. So many of you are familiar with OpTech. We're looking at OpTech as a 365 experience, that it's not just that one conference, but that we're doing having technology front and center every single day. And so with that, we're really focusing on giving a voice to the many people who are involved in technology. And since the industry has expanded so much, there are so many technology players that are integral to functioning of apartments. And so having them all at this table to help solve the problems that we need to solve and make sure that we are improving resident outcomes and addressing housing affordability by viewing technology as a force for good and really communicating that message to the public and also to policymakers.
Okay, that's fantastic. So, what are your priorities for 2025?
So I part of what my role is on the policy side. So we focus on federal policy, and we have three key areas that we you heard about during OPTEC, but they're AI, artificial intelligence, and that's a
Oh,
big bucket, but that's a really key issue for so many on the technology side and also on the rental housing side. Privacy and security, data privacy and security, which has been a challenge for both technology providers and rental housers for years, where there's not a single standard. And so they're complying with a patchwork of standards on the state level, but also even for some on the international front with GDPR and the like. And then also connectivity, which I know for your audience is incredibly important. We have, we years ago, NMHC would talk about it as in terms of telecom, but that has really evolved from just telecom to absolutely essential service for every single resident and for the operations of a company. So that part of our work is ever expanding, and it's exciting to see new players in this space and the amount of focus that has been brought to connectivity.
okay, no, that's excellent. At this point, are you already have any details to share with the audience about your plans to solve connectivity issues?
Yeah, so we really are focusing, especially, I think this is where we've heard loud and clear from members, that our advocacy role is so important. I think we saw that, say, with the FCC's look at bulk billing in the previous administration and the potential impact, and also the lack of understanding of how we partner, both technology providers and rental housers, how we partner together to provide that excellent service. And so that is a really big focus, is the policy side. We're lucky that the new chair of the FCC understood, and we've built a long-term relationship with him, Commissioner Carr. We've built a relationship over years so that he knows what we're doing, where connectivity fits in. And so certainly, that was a big win for us, that when he came in, took over as chair, he rolled back that proposed rule on bulk billing.
Right.
But, continuing those conversations, because, the leadership changes, but even if leadership doesn't change, there's gaps in understanding of how our sector works. It's a very unique sector, and our focuses are very different than other sectors in real estate. And this partnership model that we rely so heavily on, both as a rental housers and also as technology providers, is fundamental to the success of the property. And so that's a big message we're taking to FCC. The other thing, though, we're seeing is a lot of activity on the state level. And I think that will continue to be true as administration changes and the priorities of the FCC shift. Certain states will step in on some of the activity, say on bulk billing or something. They'll start looking at legislation there. So we're certainly tracking really carefully that activity. There's a variety of issues in the connectivity space that have very real implications on the rental housing providers, on technology providers, and also on residents. And I think that's where there's a lack of understanding of how much the current model really, really serves renters. And that's a message we keep bringing to the Hill. We keep bringing to policymakers. This is really working. This is, when we've done a lot of surveys on the level of access that renters have, and by and large, renters who live in rental housing have better, more reliable, and cheaper internet than those who live in single family houses. And we regularly point to the fact that the area that's not being served very well are some of the lower income communities because of the challenge of paying for the infrastructure. And so enabling a smaller provider to access a property, that if they want to access property, by giving them a way to partner with the property and have those strong relationships and build out a strong partnership that involves contracts and the like.
Yeah, I agree with you. By the way, a research report on affordable connectivity a few months back, and there's definitely lots of challenges there. Now that you have touched on aspects of regulation, how can technology companies and rental housing providers navigate this expanding connectivity regulations?
Well, the easiest answer I can give to that is get involved with RETTC. We're putting a lot of effort into this. One of RETTC's goals is to make sure that what would sometimes referred to as suppliers, with the technology providers and technology solution providers, have a seat at the table and are very engaged. And we want to be able to advocate for the rental housing providers and the technology providers. So join RETTC. It's a really exciting time. We just launched at OPTECH. We have some really big goals, and we have a great team, especially I'd say Kevin Donnelly, who's our executive director, and our chief advocacy officer, and I are really motivated to make sure that the Hill and that federal legislators, along with state and local, understand what your challenges are. And there's no better voice to communicate those challenges than to have the people who are actually on the ground explaining that. At OPTECH, we had our first advocacy day, and we went to the Hill, and it was interesting to me during that, where I'll say that we have senior leaders from enormous companies, public REITs, national companies, who were surprisingly apprehensive going to the Hill, which I found to be very surprising because I think so highly, and I'm always impressed by the knowledge that the membership has. And they went to the Hill and they met with members of Congress and also their staffs, and they came out appreciating the value of those meetings, because there are so many assumptions about what rental housing is. There's a lack of understanding of where technology even fits into all of this. I would say a lot of the folks on the Hill don't understand how integral technology is. How, like, when you're looking at connectivity, how integral it is to every single thing that a rental housing provider does to offer their residents a great living experience. And being in that meeting and explaining it, the nitty-gritty, helped the staff and helped members of Congress really understand that. And so that voice is so incredibly important, and we desperately need those voices and those different perspectives. It can't just be from one or two providers. It has to be from providers of different scales, of different regions, to really show what we're doing, and it's exciting time for technology, for real estate, and to tell that story.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm also very curious about what role can startups play into the RETTC ecosystem or roadmap.
Well, I think the amount of startups that are on the scene and the amount of capital coming into the real estate technology speaks to how much the industry has changed, that real estate's changed. There's so much possibility and so many ways to provide different experiences for residents, to address affordability, to change how we do finance. It's a really exciting time, and there's a lot of really cool solutions out there. And so we have had for a while at NMHC a startup alley at our convention show during OPTECH, and we're really expanding that to enable more startups to engage. So one thing I would plug is that we have a startup level membership for folks who want to join RETTC. You have to just demonstrate that you are, in fact, a startup. So that's one thing I would certainly look at. And then there's also, attending OPTECH is a great place to get your name out there. Yesterday, we had our first OPTECH 365 webinar, which was talking about some new products that are out there and having people share what their technology is. So we're really trying to help different companies raise their visibility, talk about their product, and really provide solutions to rental housing providers. Rental housing providers are excited about the possibility of solutions, and it's just figuring out which ones are the best fit for them.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure to include all of the URL of your organization, and so people can be aware of the next events, both online and in person. So appreciate all your insights today. I look forward myself to going to one of your events, I hope. And thanks again for sharing your insights today, Julianne.
Thank you so much, Adlane. It was a pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you.